Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to my first deck review. Today I'll be playing a deck submitted by Arxiane, and it appears to be some sort of budget priest deck. During the series, I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on the card choices and playstyle to help you improve your deck building and understanding of the metagame. So my initial thoughts with this list are that Arxiane is one of the newer players to Hearthstone, so he obviously has a little bit of a limited collection here, so I'm going to be tailoring my advice with that in mind. So if you are also new to Hearthstone, hopefully this is the type of thing that helps you build a better priest deck with the basic cards and some cheap common ones as well. Right off the bat, I would say that this list has some very solid elements to it, and I'm very pleased to look at this. I think a lot of new players really struggle initially in Hearthstone with building a good base for their deck. I'm going to be playing 1 to 2 games with this, as usual, by the way, after I give my initial thoughts. And there's some good elements to this. For one, he has some card draw in here, so he has Northshire Cleric, Power Word Shield for some card draw, a single Cult Master, so I like this. Generally speaking, I enjoy budget decks that contain some amount of card draw, some taunts, and some efficient minions, and a good mana curve. So he has some taunts. He has this guy, this guy, this guy, these guys. So he has actually quite a few taunts, and he has a pretty decent mana curve. So right off the bat, I can tell that there are probably too many 1-mana cards in this deck. Generally, your mana curve, you want to make sure that you have a couple 1-mana cards. I would say 10 is probably too many. And unless you're playing a super aggressive deck, of which I don't really consider this to be that. So you want like a couple 1-mana cards, and then a lot of cards that cost 2 to 5 mana, and then a couple things that cost more than that. So a few small guys that cost like 1 mana, and then a few huge guys that cost like 6 or 7 plus, and then like a bunch in the 2 to 5 range. So the curve seems like there might be too many 1-mana cards here. And I know he has Mind Blast, but I don't think that this deck fits very well with Mind Blast, although I think it'd be really cute to do that with Mana Addict. And cards like Goldshire Footman seem like they might be a little bit low value here, as one attack doesn't really kill too much. But yeah, there do seem to be some quite good cards in here. And we're gonna have to see how this works out. So I'll play 2 games of this thing. I'll be giving you guys my feedback. This will be fun. I was trying to think of, for a while, some way that I could do a relatively, I guess, I'm not doing that in ranked. Relatively like unique-ish Hearthstone series. Because while I would be happy to do things like give you guys my thoughts on various individual cards, maybe show you some ranked matches or arena stuff, but I like this idea as a way to keep you guys involved. It's just one of the many things I'd be willing to do. Hello, Sly CrossFox. It's been forever. Welcome back. If you have any questions about the deck, my playstyle, and everything, feel free to ask. Computer's lagging a little bit because it crashed last night. But I'm sure I will load in. Especially if Arxiane has any specific questions. Alright, come on, you can do it, Hearthstone. You can do it. Load. I think in the future I'll probably give my preliminary thoughts on the cards during the actual match. Oh god, I hope it... Come on, man. You can do it. This is a spontaneous thing. So, I can't really prep for my computer crashing. I know that the game hasn't crashed yet, so... I'm just one of those guys that takes forever to load, so that's why the spinner is freezing. There we go. Alright, Lord Racklum. You're going down. Okay, so... I think for mulligans here, as I was not supplied with a mulligan guide, I will kind of wing it. In general, if you're going first, you want to keep cards that cost 1 to 3 mana, and if you go second, ones that cost 1 to 4. So I don't think I want to keep either of these, but I will keep Goldshire Footman, as he is a turn 1 play. Alright, and I get Shadow Word Death and Holy Smite. It's worth noting that Arxiane said that the general idea with this deck is about putting taunt minions down, increasing their health, and then using various face threats to win, and he would like to add Inner Fire and Light Spawn at some point. I think Inner Fire would be quite good in this deck. God, my game's lagging so hard. In future ones, it won't. I do think that Inner Fire would be good in this deck. Light Spawn as well. Very strong combo with Divine Spirit, which a lot of new players tend to gravitate towards because it's very straightforward. And it works much better against players that don't run things like, silences. But then again, actually, no one really runs silences anymore. This is an excellent target to Holy Smite this turn, so I'm gonna go do that. Man, maybe I should not be streaming this when my data is repairing. The frame rate is, it's low. It'll get better. Currently pulling ball. I don't think I'll be accepting friend requests. Yeah, I have played this at rank 8. Ha! Okay, glad that was somewhat helpful advice. Right off the bat, when I look at this list, I feel like Mana Addict is a very low value card in general. Oh crap, I can't actually kill that thing. Did I play the Voodoo Doctor just to have presence on the board? Forces a hero power from him, so... It forces him to use his hero power on turn 3, so he'll only have 1 mana left over, so he probably can't play anything if he wants to actually kill the Voodoo Doctor. Otherwise I get to kill his Cult Sorcerer, so... Yeah, Mana Addict is like a 1-3, and you have to be really careful with one-attack minions. And Northshire Cleric obviously is a very powerful effect, but with one-attack minions you can't really kill anything besides a 2-1. So... Mana Addict is only good if you manage to cast a spell in the same turn. Thankfully, you have enough spells with it that it actually could feasibly get value, and it's really cute with Mind Blast. But I feel like this deck could be more consistent if Mind Blasts and Mana Addicts were cut for just generally higher value cards. Oh god, it's a Cthulhu Mage. Cosmin, wait until I'm done reviewing the current deck. Well, this kind of sucks, but at least this Holy Champion trades well with everything that he has on the board. So, thanks, Tags Melee. Welcome to the stream, man. Thank you, Mazzy Jarshal. Yeah, is this Yogg-Saron Mage? I don't know if he's playing Yogg-Saron, Spurlin, but he's probably playing Cthulhu. For those of you who have no idea what Hearthstone is at all, I do actually have a tutorial video on my YouTube page which explains the basics, I think, pretty well. Helps you get started.
Do you hear its call?
Okay, so he's going to trade. I think that was the wise play. Let's get in his 9 attack now. Yes. This is one of the issues with building a priest deck that contains too many spells. So I feel like the thing with this deck right here is that it sort of... Oh god, I guess I have to Mind Blast. I mean, I might as well. Yay. Oh. And I'll keep healing myself in case for some reason someone plays a card that adds a Frost Giant to my hand or something ridiculous. Yeah, I think this deck might be trying to do too many things at once. Mostly how I like the taunts, the heals, the card draw, the buffs, like the Power Word Shields, Divine Spirits, Northshire Clerics, etc. I think you throw in some Inner Fires and then you have a pretty good beginner deck. It's just that I look at the Mana Addicts and the Mind Blasts as something that could really... Particularly the Mind Blast, as the Mind Blast doesn't actually contest the board in any way, and you'll end up doing a lot more than 5 damage to your opponent if you can keep a minion alive. It's a pretty good card to draw. Hopefully he doesn't Fireball it. So I feel like the Mind Blasts don't really help here, and that while it does a lot of damage, a lot of new players tend to, I think, overvalue face damage as opposed to fighting for the board, and if Mind Blast could fight for the board, that would be excellent. Thank you so much, Thomas Crow, for the $5. I appreciate it. So, like, yeah, I feel like Mind Blast makes the hand a little clunky. One of the problems with priest decks in general is that priests tend to run into the trap of playing way too many situational cards, which makes their deck a little bit inconsistent, which I'm feeling right now, as I can't play either of those Shadow Word Deaths, and Lord Rackalum is playing nothing but cards that have 3 or 4 attack or something smaller, so yuck. This one's Shadow Word Pain to be pretty good. I can Holy over here. That's really not good. At least I can kill this thing and only give his Cthulhu +1/+1. That's still really bad for me. I think I Power Word Shield first. See if I draw anything. That's an okay guy to draw. So we'll hit here. And then we'll heal. It's important that I do it in that order, that way I get as much health back as humanly possible. This forces him to attack with his Cthulhu's Chosen and then Hero Power to kill it, so that spends some of his mana. And I'll play the Ironford Grizzly because I have nothing else to play. Tricky stuff. Best deck I found is meta on Wild is Cthulhu Seeker Paladin. Interesting, Spurlum. I have not actually played very much Wild, since the expansion came out, but it just came out, so I'm curious about that one. Lamont 300, welcome. So yeah. Again, most of my advice is going to be tailored to newer players here. So I wouldn't really recommend Mind Blast, I guess, in any sort of beginner-ish priest deck. Or just in general, unless you have some sort of fancy, crazy combo priest thing. Maybe with like Shadow Bombers, or maybe you have Prophet Velen. I think on its own, Mind Blast is a very weak card, in that it doesn't affect the state of the board. It only has 5 damage to your opponent, and then like you play it, and then your opponent starts stacking up minions, and you're going to end up taking way more than 5 damage from his guys. So instead of Mind Blast, I feel like those could be something like maybe Shadow Word Pains. Shadow Word Pain could be interesting. Maybe some just value early game minions. You know, it could be something like a Flame Juggler. Could be pretty good. Though my opponent disconnect. Nice. Tight, tight, tight. My opponent is disconnected. This is excellent. This is the only way I can win. So I need to kill this thing. Oh, this is perfect.
Farewell.
All right, so I'm gonna trade there. To heal, to draw. Do I Holy Nova to kill this thing? I actually think I do, because I want to keep my 6/4 alive. Yeah. No. We lagging. Also, this means I get to draw an additional card if I do that, so... I like this. This is great. Lord Bracklam is disconnected, understanding that there's no way he can possibly win this game. Yeah, also, yeah, you have Power of Tentacles as well. See, I feel like this is a very defensive deck when I look at it. It has, like, lots of taunts. It has... I'll do one more after this, by the way. Maybe he's baiting me into Flame Strike. But Flame Strike's not even that good here. Like, this seems like a very defensive deck. Like, it's got Voodoo Doctors, lots of taunts, lots of heals, lots of buffs. Shadow Word Death, deal to your opponents, big guys. It seems so defensive that Mind Blast doesn't really seem to fit here. Pulling ball. I'm playing viewer-created decks, yes. Cool. Alright, so, we won. Oh, man. Wait, no, actually, I'm one off lethal?
You win this one.
Oh, he just conceded. What? Okay, so Arxiane's deck is 1-0, so we'll do one more game with this. What a great way to start the series off. Oh, man. Over time, I'll be getting a little bit better with this. But I really wanted to mix in some sort of Hearthstone content for the longevity of the channel. I think it's super duper important that I'm able to branch out. A Breaking Bad reference. Glad you got that one. Stajinish asks, is Porygon a viable competitive Pokemon in Gen 1? I'm not very familiar with the Gen 1 Pokemon metagame. If I remember correctly, something like... Was it Alakazam OP or something? It's been way too long. Thank you so much, Martin's Cog, for the resub. Really appreciate it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going second. So remember, when we're going second, we can keep 1 to 4 mana cards. And the idea here is that we want to make sure that we actually have cards to play. Now, I don't know if I want to keep 2 1-mana cards, because that makes my curve a little bit awkward, but this is a Shaman. Holy Smite doesn't really kill anything that he plays. I'm trying to think what else I would want to get. I think Power of Tentacles is too slow to keep. I think I'll keep this. Thank you, Giant Apple, for the resub as well. I assume Porygon is not viable in the Gen 1 metagame. I assume that. Alright, Wega. So yeah, my preliminary thoughts are, this deck seems very defensive and well-built, so good job, Arxiane. And I think that if you cut both Mind Blasts and the Mana Edict for something else, then we start getting real good. I'm gonna play this, even though I'm not getting any value out of the Battle Cry. I'm doing this because I need something on the board to contest the things that he plays. So I think that's important to do, is to fight for the board early on. I definitely recommend that. I did not coin Holy Smite his face because, again, doing 2 damage to his face is less important than protecting my own minions. So unless my Holy Smite is actually going to kill him this turn, in which case, of course, I would throw it at his face. If it's not going to kill him, I'm going to save it for minions. Now here, again, I could deal 2 damage to his face, but I feel like this could be threatening over time. I'm actually not going to Holy Smite it, because again, I don't think that doing 2 damage to his face by allowing my Voodoo Doctor to hit him really matters that much. I think I'd rather like coin Senjin or coin Holy Champion the next turn. So I can just pass here, since he didn't play anything. Spurlum asks, opinion on why Blizzard nerfed Big Noob Hunter when priests still have all the Shadow Words untouched with a tomb as an addition. You think it's unfair for the other classes because priests now have the most efficient removals in the game? I mean, like, for example, Mage's Polymorph. I think it's important to note that when every class has access to the same level of ridiculously efficient hard removal, it warps the metagame. I think it's a very good question, by the way. I think it heavily warps the metagame, and it makes cards like Mulch never playable. Okay, so here, since he played a 1-attack minion, which he got from his hero power, I'm actually going to play the Senjin and not the Holy Champion. That way he can't get a good trade on my 2-1. But I'm not going to trade here because they have a taunt minion up. I think it's debatable, though, that you could trade there to play around some sort of buff card. So I think that is debatable. But yeah, the thing with Big Game Hunter is it heavily like warps the metagame, and if every class is the same level of excellent hard removal, then why would you play Priest? Unless Priest happen to have some particularly insane cards. Things like Shadow Word Death are just less valuable in a metagame where everybody runs Big Game Hunter. Also, when Priest has access to lots of hard removal, but a lot of other classes don't, then that means that you can finally play big minions, whereas if everybody is Big Game Hunter, then, well, you can't really play big minions. So it's all about differentiating the classes, freshening up the metagame. I think Big Game Hunter was way too efficient and a very unhealthy card. So I'm really glad that they changed it. Now here again, I could protect my Voodoo Doctor by playing Goldshire Footman, maybe like Holy Smiting that, but I think I'd rather just play Holy Champion than make that trade. I'll do that one. So yeah, I think it's very important that they nerfed Big Game Hunter. Also because it just heavily warped the game. You weren't really able to play big minions, and all the classes were kind of like homogenized. You know, even cards like Siphon Soul, which otherwise would be excellent hard removal, like all the classes start to feel the same. You know, you're always asking yourself, why not just play Big Game Hunter? And then you can't play any 7+ things. Like Priest is only one class, but I do think it's an interesting question. Okay, so it's both hexes down the drain, which is great, because Bog Creeper, by the way, an excellent card. With your taunt minions, you usually want a little bit more health than attack, so that's why Ascension Shield Master is kind of like the poster child for value there. I don't know if you've ever done this, Arxiane, but I'm totally gonna Power Word Tentacles this guy. Get huge. Now, he's out of hexes, by the way, so I don't know how he's gonna get through this 2/7 taunt. Power Creep over Mogushan Warden. Oh, yes. Strong, strong, strong. Now, there are also, in this specific deck list, there are a couple, like, I guess, lower-ish value cards. And this is very not self-explanatory, especially if you watch my tutorial in which I try to keep things very simple. So I didn't really have time to go into cards like Goldshire Footman and Frostwolf Grunt, because they seem good if you, like, look at the vanilla test, but the vanilla test doesn't tell the entire story. Stat distribution is actually very important with minions, and that's why Senjin Shieldmaster is kind of the poster child for very strong taunt minion. At least a basic one, because it has more health than attack, but enough attack to actually kill something. So, for example, Mogushan Warden, the 1/7 taunt for 4 mana, you would really only run it in a deck with like Inner Fire or like lots of buffs, if at all, because, well, the 1 attack doesn't really kill anything. Same thing with the Goldshire Footman. Like, you play him, and he protects your face, but he's not going to be able to trade with anything your opponent plays besides a 2/1. So if Goldshire Footman was a 2/1 with taunt, it would also still be kind of weak, because then it dies to things like people's hero powers, so... it's interesting to think about. I might actually... Do I have to Holy Smite this? I have to Holy Smite this. Next turn I'm going to play Bog Creeper, which feels good, man. I think I have to Holy Smite this, no matter what. I think I have to hit this, probably heal this, and drop all of my taunts. Another interesting thing is you have so many taunts in this deck that... Instead of this frog protecting all these minions, it's not actually... Basically, when everything in your deck has taunt, nothing has taunt. This is something that I did when I was starting out, is I thought I was brilliant, and one of my first... Hello, a duck, by the way. And greetings, Ritual McNeil. So when I was new at Hearthstone, I thought I figured this game out really quickly. I was very proud of myself when I started playing. I was like, okay, so let me get this straight. In Hearthstone, my opponent's health is here, my health is here. His minions can attack my face unless I have minions with taunt. Otherwise, they have to kill those guys with taunt first. So what if every minion in my deck has taunt? Then, if my opponent has to kill all those taunt minions, he can't attack my face and I can't lose. I realized very quickly that in a deck where all of your minions have taunt, nothing has taunt because you're not really protecting all the minions. Also, when you play a minion with taunt, usually you're making like a trade-off with stats. So instead of being a 2-mana 2/3 or 3/2, it's a 2-mana 2/2 with taunt. And this means that if everything in your deck is taunt and your opponent plays nothing but efficient minions, that eventually you'll start to get enough efficient trades that you're just always going to be behind. I do like taunt cards a lot, so I feel like what we can do to make this deck better is replace Goldshire Footman and Frostwolf Grunt with something else. Maybe like Flame Jugglers, maybe? It's a common card. And then that might strengthen the deck a bit. Those could be Acidic Swamp Oozes. I would like that. But I do like the amount of taunts overall, and your choice in taunt minions I think was generally excellent. No Silverback Patriarch, so yes, good stuff. Hello Jiraiya, and Jakku Bourbon. Okay, so here I really want to play this Bog Creeper on curve if I can.
Time for killing.
I mean, I could start healing with Northshire Cleric, but I imagine that one of my minions will stay alive. That Bog Creeper is excellent, perfect stat distribution. Absolutely perfect. Same thing with Senjin Shieldmaster. Perfect. Ironford Grizzly's decent. Because 3 attack should kill stuff. Like Frostwolf Grunt is okay, because 2 attack does kill stuff. It's just like Goldshire Footman is not going to kill anything, so at least we can replace that. And I think we still have too many 1-mana cards too, so you replace like both Goldshire Footmans with Acidic Swamp Oozes. And I think that the deck becomes a lot better. And then I still need to think about replacements for Mind Blast and Mana Addict, but we're getting there. This deck list, very happy with it, Arxiane. I think that you did a good job setting up the base for this thing. Yes. Ooze is an excellent basic card, and it's actually strong in this metagame too, which is great, because all those Doom Hammers, as to Super Pickle points out. Jakku Bourbon says, hello, I would like to thank you for your videos and keep it the good work. Thank you. I start to play my first game I ever played again, AoE 2. Soon I will buy HD when I get enough money. Maybe one day I will contest you. Sorry for my bad English. Jakku, your English is fine, and thank you so much. All the kind words, I appreciate it. This is filthy. This is gonna be so good. I hope you're happy, Arxiane. Oh yes. Actually, wait, no, I misplayed that, right? Because I could have Holy Nova'd first to draw a card, so fuck, I messed up. But anyway, what I should do here, do I want to take some damage on this to draw a card regardless? No. What can you do that's 7 damage to this? I think I'd rather actually keep this thing at full HP. No, I wouldn't. I'll do this. And then I'll draw 2 cards. So I could have actually drawn one more card here. So if I played Holy Nova before, so if I played Northshire Cleric, then I played Holy Nova, and then I attacked with the Goldshire Footman, then I could have actually drawn 1 additional card. So that was a mistake. That still felt really good to me though, so that was nice. Once again, these Shadow Word Deaths aren't really doing anything, but I feel like that's still fine. It's still really important to have those in the deck, otherwise you can't deal with huge dudes. So you definitely need to keep the Shadow Word Deaths. The Mind Blast could be Shadow Word Pains, that's what those could be. And the Mana Addict could be just another like generic 2-mana minion, right? I think. Yeah, I think that would be just a generic 2-mana minion. DNM, I have a tutorial video on my YouTube channel, but I appreciate the support, man. So just watch that one. Yeah, Northshire Cleric is really good. Like I said, like one attack is generally bad unless the effect is very strong, and a 1-mana 1/3 is crazy stats. Like that's really good. So it's actually okay in that case. I disagree that 2 deaths is too much, personally, so I think that you would want to keep them all. There we go, this is something I can finally Shadow Word Death. So this feels pretty good to me. So we'll death this. What are the odds I draw into a Holy Smite? Then I get to do an extra 6 damage to him. I don't even think that's that good. Yeah, I don't even think that's that good. T-Viper says, Rez, camels, after not being classified as ships, take 1 bonus damage from building arrows. Attested a knight that have 2 armor attacked by a tower receives 5 minus 3 equals 2 damage. Camels with no pierce armor takes 6 damage. Yes, and? I think if this is about Indian camels, I do think they're very strong. DNM, I already answered that question, but like I said, I'll say it again. I have a tutorial video on my YouTube channel which I explain all this in detail, so I appreciate the support. Feel free to give that a watch. It will answer all of your questions and help you get started. And I really appreciate the support, man. So thank you for sticking around, even though you're not familiar with this game. And that the tutorial will answer all of your questions in theory. I think in the future when I do this, I'll try and edit it down a little bit to make the things shorter. And I'll be careful to Holy Nova first. And I'm still getting used to talking and playing at the same time. So definitely no matter what I do here, I'm playing this guy. Okay, Holy Smite this thing. I mean, I could have like Power Word Shield and draw. No, he only runs one Holy Nova. Maybe you want 2 Holy Novas. That's another thing. This is what, after this, I'm gonna put in some random changes. We'll see how that goes. So I think we'll just bop this guy. He played both hexes, actually. Otherwise, okay, if he didn't play both hexes, I don't think I would buff this, to be fair. Because I don't want to make his hex even stronger. But since he's already played both hexes, I fear nothing. Now, generally, I would prefer that new players focus on trading with opponents' minions rather than going face until you basically have them dead. But here, I don't think this minion it's threatening enough that I want to kill it with my small attack guys if I can, but I don't think I'd waste 6 damage on it. Of course, Cosmin. So, again, there's nothing that I could draw into JJ, as I have his entire deck list in front of me that would have changed that line of play, so... Oh, he didn't play both hexes, he discovered one? Interesting. Alright, thank you for pointing that out. As again, I'm trying to read the chat and play at the same time. But there's nothing in this deck that I could have drawn that would have actually changed that line of play regardless, so... a lot of people are really anal about like the tap last thing, but it's important that you understand what your deck list actually is, and that more often than... Well, not necessarily more often than not. It is a good idea to tap first, or to draw first, just in case you happen to get something that's a better play. But if you've gone through all the cards in your deck that are still left in there, and you know that there's nothing in there that would be a better line of play if you drew into it, then it doesn't matter what order you tap or draw in. So, if I had to make some changes to this list, so... I think that what we would do is we're definitely cutting both Mind Blasts, cutting the Mana Addicts, cutting both Goldshire Footmans. Alright, so I've cut 5 cards from here. So I've cut 2 Mind Blasts, 2 Goldshire Footmans, and 1 Mana Addict, and now we're going to try and fill them in with generally basic or common cards. So I think one thing that I like to really go for here is Acidic Swamp Ooze is such an efficient basic card, so you can see him right here. I just want to see if there's anything else that I really wanted. So I like this a little bit better, so we've made the mana curve look a little bit more reasonable. There's still a lot of 1 mana cards, but I think having 8 is generally like the peak. And I think this is okay. The Voodoo Doctors could maybe be something else, but they do have synergy with Holy Champion and whatnot. I feel like we kind of want 1 additional Holy Nova, so I'm going to replace that. So I think I'm going to add in 1 Holy Nova, 2 Acidic Swamp Oozes, and we need 2 more cards. I'm a little concerned about adding Shadow Word Pains because it makes our hand a little bit clunkier. But maybe, I think I like Shadow Word Pain better than Holy Smite, so maybe we'll do that. Yeah. So I like we'll swap the Holy Smites for 2 Shadow Word Pains. And now I just need 2 more minions. Okay, so this is a much better mana curve, so maybe we want something to play on turn 3, because the Shadow Word Death's a little bit clunky. Now this deck list is starting to look really good. So, I do think that Interfires and Light Spawns would be great once you get that. Maybe we put in another Ironfur Grizzly to fit with your theme of the deck, or we could also put in, additionally, 2 Shattered Sun Clerics sounds really good. I like that idea a lot. So we'll go with this. Shattered Sun Cleric is incredibly strong as a basic card, mostly due to the fact that if you look at the ability, it's essentially a 3-mana 4/3, which means it passes the vanilla test, but the +1/+1 has charge in a way if you have another minion, and it can allow you to, trade up with your opponent. So I want you to imagine a situation where, you play something like Acidic Swamp Ooze, right? It's a 3/2, and then on the next turn, it's your opponent's turn 3. He plays a 3/4. You cannot kill that with your 3/2. But then you play Shattered Sun Cleric, and now you can buff your Acidic Swamp Ooze to a 4/3. And now your 2-mana minion has just traded with his 3-mana minion. This is a very efficient mana trade. And you have a 3/2 on the board, so it's really good. So I like this a lot. It also fits with the buffing theme of the deck. So those are some basic changes that I would make to it. Generally speaking, when I'm walking people through the deck building process, I try to keep the theme of the deck intact, and not just, you know, remake the whole thing. So I wanted to try and keep the theme alive here, and I think we've done it. This is a very defensive, solid basic priest deck, I think, and I like this a lot. It feels a lot stronger to me. Now we don't have to worry about things like weapons. Totem Golem is a thing of the past. I feel like Shadow Word Pain is generally going to be more useful in the current metagame, at least with all the 3 attack or less minions floating around that Holy Smite does not kill. So I like this a lot. One of the problems with running too many one-mana cards is you'll need either a lot of card draw or you need to win the game really fast because your cards are going to be generally low value. So I like this a lot. I think that we've cut down on the weird situational spells, and now this deck just has a very, very consistent theme. I mean, you can get some huge people with the Shattered Sun Cleric, Divine Spirit, Power Word Shield, Power Word Tentacles, and now with Holy Nova, we're a little bit more consistent to get decks that flood the board. And since we cut a few taunts, I think it's important to have that. So hopefully that makes sense, Arxiane, and that this was helpful in some way. I mean, we could cut the Frostwolf Grunt, for example, but I don't like to come in here, you know, doing like surgery and just tearing out all the cards. I want to kind of keep his I want to kind of keep the theme that he was going for originally intact to as much as I can. So I don't think the Mind Blast fit, so I wanted to try and build off the rest of the deck. So rather than having things like Mind Blast that we just play efficient defensive taunt minions, you could potentially cut the Frostwolf Grunt for a lot of other things. It could be a second Iron for Grizzly. But I think I would want another 2-mana card. You can make it like a River Crocolisk. I think it's okay to keep it. Could be a Bloodfen Raptor. So yeah, I think it's okay to keep it. I'm just not a huge fan of Mind Blast in general. I don't think this deck necessarily needs Mind Control, but you could always add one in, perhaps. So yeah, it's okay. Cool. I'll post this on YouTube, Arxiane, in case you would like to watch it again. And if you guys enjoyed this, then please do leave me your feedback below. I do read all the comments if you don't get a chance to respond to them, as well as leave a like. It's really important for the longevity of my channel and my ability to actually continue producing AoE 2 content that this stuff is well received. And of course, I will be improving the format over time. And I'm open to your guys' ideas. In general, I'll try and keep these faster and shorter in the future. And I will remember to Holy Nova first. So, again, thank you so much for your support as always, guys. This was a lot of fun, and after this I'm going to do one more deck review, I think. So I'll start setting up the drawing in just a moment. Yeah, let me know if anything I said here was like particularly helpful. Yeah, I hope that this series is useful to you guys, even though it's not always going to be your deck specifically, and it's just a way to keep people involved. So I like the idea, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much for your support. When you support Hearthstone, you support my channel and more AoE 2 stuff, as well as other games. So yes, we'll be right back.